The river's edge lapped at Marley's boots as he wrung out his hoodie, his helmet cradled protectively against his chest like a recovered treasure. The setting sun caught the light blue sheen of its visor, a week's worth of pride and possibility contained in that piece of protective gear. His phone buzzed, another group message confirming everyone's location at Mead's quarry. He thumbed a quick response, already hearing the distant rumble of motorcycles. The quarry lot was alive with the throaty idle of engines when he arrived. Nicki Minaj's CF Moto purred quietly while Mark's Ninja 600 revved impatiently, its owner passing around a bottle of Fireball whiskey with characteristic bravado. Scotty had already departed on his Harley, leaving just the three of them as darkness crept over the city. "Ready to see how it's really done?" Mark called out, his words carrying the slight slur of someone trying too hard to sound sober. He took another pull from the bottle before tucking it away. Nicki Minaj caught Marley's eye, a silent warning in her expression. "Maybe we should call it a night," she suggested. But Mark was already firing up his Ninja, the engine screaming like a challenge into the twilight. 7 days into riding, and Marley still felt electricity course through him every time he threw a leg over his bike. He followed Mark's taillight as they carved through the city streets, watching the more experienced riders' lines through the turns. There was something mesmerizing about the way Mark leaned into corners, though his movements were becoming increasingly erratic. "Watch this!" Mark's voice crackled through their helmet communicators as he accelerated aggressively. The Ninja's front wheel lifting slightly off the pavement. Nicki Minaj dropped back, creating distance, but Marley found himself drawn forward, studying Mark's every move, despite the voice in his head screaming caution. The Gay Street Bridge loomed ahead, its steel spans reaching across the Tennessee River like skeletal fingers. Mark was weaving now, his motorcycle dancing a dangerous waltz with the center line. The Ninja's headlights swept wild arcs across the road as its rider struggled to maintain control. Everything happened in a horrible instant. Mark misjudged his entry into the bridge approach, carrying too much speed. The Ninja drifted wide, and in his overcorrection, he sent the bike straight toward the cable barrier. The sound of impact was sickening, a crash of metal and plastic followed by the terrible silence of a body in flight. Marley's heart hammered against his ribs as he brought his bike to a stop. Mark lay crumpled against the barrier, cursing through labored breaths. The Ninja's fairings were scattered across the asphalt like broken promises. "Don't move!" Nicki Minaj commanded, already on the phone with emergency services. But Mark was struggling to his feet, panic replacing the earlier bravado in his eyes. "I can't be here," he wheezed, clutching his side. "My license! The whiskey! I can't—" Sirens wailed in the distance as Mark stumbled away from his ruined motorcycle. Blood darkened the sleeve of his leather jacket, but fear seemed to be numbing him to the worst of his injuries. Marley stood frozen, the weight of consequence settling heavy on his shoulders as he watched his would-be mentor trying to flee his own recklessness. Toolmaster's truck appeared like salvation, Deer Queen already jumping out to assess the situation. They worked with practiced efficiency, loading the mangled Ninja into the truck bed, while Mark continued to refuse medical attention despite his clearly broken ribs. "This isn't how you learn," Nicki Minaj said quietly to Marley as they watched Toolmaster and Deer Queen drive away with both bike and rider. "This is how you end up dead." The bridge stood silent now, only scattered pieces of plastic and dark stains on the barrier serving as evidence of what had transpired. Marley ran his hand along his helmet, remembering how just hours ago he'd risked the river's depths to save it. Now he understood that sometimes the most valuable lessons come from watching someone else's fall. The city lights reflected off the river below, and Marley felt the weight of his 7 days of experience pressing down on him. He'd wanted to learn, to belong, but not like this. The night air carried the lingering scent of spilled gasoline and broken dreams. A harsh reminder that some teachers show you exactly what not to do.